We'll get started in just a moment. All right, we will get started, and I will call the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber?
Here.
Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Monroe? Vice President Harris?
Here.
President Melendez?
Here.
Thank you.
We had no formal presentations planned. There was a request, admittedly, Deputy Mayor, a kind of last-minute request from us to speak a bit about the Downtown Enhancement District. Would you rather do that while we're in the process of legislation or up front?
Actually, preference would be in writing. So my colleagues in the law department prepared a very concise summary of the Downtown Enhancement District that just kind of provides a good refresher, I think, for council on really what the purpose of the DED is, how it works. You've seen the budget that comes before you each year, and I think approved that within the last couple of months. So I'm happy to share that summary with council's office, and then if you want further items of information, happy to provide those in writing and or make time to review the mechanics if that works.
Yeah, I think we can take the time to make sure that we're, rather than at the last minute asking for a presentation, we can just provide very specific questions based on what you have in writing. So has that memo already been sent to us?
It will be sent, and it is one page, so
okay.
It's pretty well done in terms of covering the key points and making sure that everybody's got the information they need, and you can ask questions as you need. Well,
then we have no formal presentations. We'll ask questions about that item as we get through the legislation. I will just encourage my colleagues on council, as this is our first finance committee meeting of the new fiscal year. If people have particular items they want presented on in this committee in particular, just let me know. I will be working closely with our chief of staff and the council office to make sure that any outstanding budget review items that require either a work session or presentation are scheduled appropriately in this committee, but I'm all ears if folks have anything they recommend. So with that, we will go right into the legislative work of the committee and start with Instruct number 278, which is authorizing an agreement with the Rochester Educational Opportunity Center. I have some questions, but I'll turn it over to colleagues first if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns on 278. So I'm curious, I'll start with a question. Why REOC specifically for this? So the public knows, anyone who happens to be listening, this is creating a training opportunity or a training program for the soon to become real action team, which is the civilian response. I'm curious why REOC as the training entity?
Good afternoon. Good evening. REOC we chose based on their history of community-based training. There was, through the recommendation of the LEAP report, there were a list of trainings that was recommended that we do engage in, and when we reached out to REOC, they were able to fulfill those recommendations that were in the LEAP report around community responder specific training.
Great. Is it and I'm sure they'll do a great job. I'm always impressed with REOC's work. Is this going to be a newly developed training or something that is kind of coming off a shelf, an existing training that they're kind of copy pasting?
So it's the entire curriculum will be new, but they do have experience in doing the de-escalation training, the training on implicit bias and things of that nature. So the actual curriculum will be new, but they have had experience of doing those trainings in the past.
And I assume the creation of anything new is going to be done as a partnership with your office.
Correct.
Great. Any further questions from Council Vice President Harris?
Yes, I agree. REOC is a great place to do this at, and I'm just wondering, what's the expected timeline for the training
Expected.
to complete the training and the curriculum?
So yes, the training will be a 3-week training that will be 16 hours a week. So that's roughly 32 hours of training that will entail for that. And we're looking to potentially get that started by September.
Thank you.
Yep.
I saw Council Members Monroe and Martin. Was there anyone who I missed? Okay, Council Member Monroe followed by Martin.
About how many participants do you anticipate signing up?
Mm-hmm. So that's a really good question. So we are looking at training all the action team, which are 8 community responders, 2 leadership staff. Myself, I'm also going to be a part of the train as well. And there's also potential for other community responders to potentially be a part of this training as well, because of just how in-depth it is around community response and de-escalation, and that entails a lot of what our outreach teams do and other elements, other programs in OVP. Conflict resolution, de-escalation, all those are training topics that we pretty much hang our hats on in OVP. So there's an opportunity for more staff to train, but this is specifically for REOC. So there is that option there if we want to move forward with that. But REOC is aware that we will utilize this training potentially multiple times throughout the year.
And how are the CRTs then different from our PIC teams? And then how is it determined which you're going to send out if CRTs are responding to 911 calls?
Mm-hmm. Can you?
Oh, sorry. So what I'm asking for is the difference between the CRTs and our PIC team, mm-hmm. and how the CRTs are going to be utilized in comparison to our PIC team.
Mm-hmm. The community responders are, they are answering calls from 911. They're answering 2 call types. The call types are annoyance B and trespassing A calls. Those are different than what PIC answers. The PICR is mostly mental health related. That's usually what the calls they're answering. Those calls that the action team will receive are mostly around just those 2 call types, trespassing A and annoyance B calls. So I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Sorry, so then they go out to the site of where the call is?
Correct. So they are responding from a dispatch from 911, from emergency dispatch. So a call's coming in and they're dispatching it through to the action team, and then they're responding to the call.
Will there be police with them, or are they on their own?
No, it will not be a co-response with police.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Martin.
In addition to these trainings done by REOC, are you at the point where you've mapped out all the different trainings that the responders would undergo?
Yes. So we have mapped out basically an internal onboarding training as well as our training that we'll do at REOC.
Thank you. Could you share more details in writing, of course, around just the general scope of what kinds of trainings the responders would receive, and the framework and the goal of having those trainings? Some of them, of course, are self-explanatory, like the de-escalation, but if there are other ones you all are going to be doing, just a short summary.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Any further questions on 278? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 279. authorizing a grant agreement and appropriation for adding legacy planning to the Financial Empowerment Center's counseling services. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Prior to that, I want to ask one question, probably for Angela. Hi, Angela. Is this just a matter of training our counselors to be able to handle things like providing guidance and advice for wills, or is there something more technical than just additional training for the counselors?
So it will be additional training for the counselors, but not to give any legal advice, because that would be
Sure.
not good. But it will be on sort of the pieces of someone's legacy plan, and it will include like training around exactly what they can say, because we want to be really careful about getting into like unauthorized practice of law. But we do, because we're already talking about such personal financial information with these clients, it's a natural next step to also be talking about, hey, do you have beneficiaries on your bank account? Do you have a will? Do you know what resources exist for a will? Have you thought about power of attorney, healthcare proxy, etc.? So just like every other piece of this model, it's giving them the information and the resources so that they can then make their own decisions about what they need to feel good about their legacy plan.
Basically making sure people have a plan, not necessarily creating a plan with.
Correct.
I'm sure Stephanie and the law department are thrilled about all the work that has to be done to curate those questions and comments specifically. But it's very, very, very important, and I'm glad it's being done. Councilmember Martin, you had a question?
Yes. Can you, in writing, just provide the operational definition you're using for legacy planning and what it includes? And additionally, and this can be in writing, will this program refer people to lawyers?
So they will not be referred directly to lawyers. We're thinking a lot about, how do we point folks to free resources that might exist, or can we provide any guidance on how does one pick a lawyer, for example? But we, same with, we never recommend specific banks. If we're going to recommend a bank, we always have to give at least 3 options. And so similarly here, we would not be referring to any individual lawyers.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions on 279? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Introduction number 280. A resolution approving appointments to the Downtown Enhancement District Advisory Committee. As we talked about at the beginning, we are going to receive a memo shortly giving us an outline of what this district does. But I think this is a good opportunity for council members to ask specific questions, whether in this meeting or as a follow-up in writing. So I'll give the space. I know President Melendez had some, and then I'll turn it to Councilmember Martin, followed by Monroe.
All right, thank you. So for the appointments this time, in writing, of course, could you give us a sense of how many are returning members, reappointments, versus how many are new appointees? In addition, let me just make sure it's not in here. So I know that the map is in here. Could we get a sense of the amount of properties that are contributing overall into the Downtown Enhancement District? And in addition to that, what is a typical meeting schedule for the Downtown Enhancement District? Thank you.
Councilmember Martin?
This first question is to you, Councilmember Gruber. As we're waiting for the memo and waiting for our questions to be answered, would you be okay holding this item?
Sure.
Thank you. And my questions surround the framework for appointing, and this, of course, in writing, the framework for appointing these specific businesses to be part of this advisory committee. Are there similar advisory councils around the city that we can look to that are comparable? And can people who are part of the community participate or access minutes from these advisory council meetings? Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to state from my vantage point, I mean, we have already approved as part of our annual budgeting process the existence of a downtown enhancement district. I have no problem holding the opportunity to appoint new members until we get the information that we need, but I will expect it to move forward this month. Councilmember Monroe?
What is the standard term? I understand that everyone here will be expiring on December 31st, 2026, but what would the term normally be?
So I think that's something that we'll determine going forward, whether there are staggered terms, whether there are one-year terms, or whether there are three-year terms. But I'll address that in writing just so you have it in the context of all the other questions.
Okay.
Any further questions on 280? If not, we'll hold it until the full council meeting and move to introduction number 281, which is authorizing an amendatory agreement with Experian Information Solutions Incorporated. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 282, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement for implementing the school bus stop arm camera enforcement program. I'd just like to open by commending the administration for being diligent and moving this forward. And I think this is a place where we actually really do see the strong relationship with Monroe County bear fruit. They have a good, solid program that's up and running. Councilmember Monroe and I actually are on their monthly distribution list for some reason we got on there. So it's nice to see that there's constant action happening with this program countywide. And I think piggybacking off their program makes a lot of sense. The one question that I have before I turn it to the rest of my colleagues is one of the things that Monroe County is doing that's very effective is they are scrubbing every single ticket. They have every single time a ticket comes forward, they have, I think, 2 sets of eyes looking at it and making sure that the ticket is not frivolous, that it's actually a real violation. Do we know who will be doing that? Is it us doing it ourselves, or will we be asking them to do that for us?
We'll respond to that in writing, but I did want to take this as an opportunity to just say that in terms of all the steps that the administration can possibly take absent a fully executed agreement, this would be kind of the last piece of that. So really, once this legislation is presumably voted up by council later this month, we're really waiting on the district to be able to move forward here. So, and what I would say is that we'll continue to provide updates on that, and certainly any advocacy that you all can undertake. I would encourage you to do that.
But getting it back to this point, I mean, there has been, since we last spoke in these chambers about this, there has been a number of back and forths between the city and the school district, correct? Yes. And so it feels like it's on a good path.
It still needs to move forward with the district.
The district needs to authorize it again?
The district needs to fully execute the agreement.
Got it. So it doesn't need to go back to their board for a vote. Their superintendent needs to effectively execute what's been planned.
Finalized. Yep.
Okay. Including, obviously, outfitting all of the buses with the appropriate technology.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's one question I'd really love to see back in writing, is if we're going to scrub our tickets ourselves or the county will. I frankly hope that I'd always rather that we do that ourselves for our constituents if possible, but I'd understand either way and look forward to hearing back. Additional questions?
Yes.
Council President, followed by Councilmember Monroe.
Yes, thank you. So for the 30-day period, once presumably we execute everything on our end, I know that we were concerned originally that 30 days may not be long enough. I think we talked originally about an extended period of time, but the school year is obviously starting in the fall, so we lost a lot of time. Is there any possibility of looking at that time period? Is that the right, in terms of understanding if that's the right time frame to implement that?
Yes, we can look at that.
Great, thank you. And then for just to make sure I understand the line of questioning Councilmember Gruber was asking. So for the contract itself, all the approvals on our end after we do this will be done. The approvals at the district end have been done except for the physical signing of the contract.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Monroe, followed by Vice President Harris.
I want to thank the administration for the work that you've been doing, and hopefully we will get those final steps from the school district very soon. One of the questions I have, and it may not be something you can answer at the moment, but in the introductory, it stated that the city will be retaining our ability to have the parameters set by which we do a citation, and that might be different than the county. So I was wondering if we already know that there's something different that we're going to be doing, or are you going to kind of be going with the county until such time as you think something has to change?
Not necessarily anticipating doing something different, but we'll get the correct response in writing.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President?
Just, I'm not sure if this was already asked or answered. Will there be any PSAs, notice or marketing surrounding this at all?
Yeah, so there will be a significant communications effort around this, and when we provide the other responses in writing, we'll be sure to get you some of the elements of that too, just so you have that context.
Yeah, that'd be great if you can give us the communication plan for that.
Yep.
Councilmember Monroe? Oh, sorry, Martin.
So in the case that there is an error, could you outline what the appeals process would look like in writing, what the appeals process would look like for residents?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll just share, Councilmember Martin, that's what Councilmember Monroe and I spoke about with the county. They have 2 sets of eyes scrubbing each ticket, and by the time they are scrubbed, there are no, people may still want to appeal, but the tickets at that point are all valid tickets, and people will almost certainly lose the appeal. That's part of the benefit of making sure that someone is actually looking through and throwing away bad tickets. And they did acknowledge there's a lot of the technology still includes a lot of tickets that are not actually tickets, people not truly passing the stop sign, but they're all caught in the administrative process, not through an appeal afterwards. Any additional questions? If not, I'll take a motion on 282.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And as soon as we finish the full council meeting, Deputy Mayor, we will send another strong note to the school board and encourage them to move forward on it. Introductory number 283, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District to implement a children's savings account program. There are 2 disclosures for this item, one from Council Vice President Harris and the other from Councilmember Lupien. As they are both employed with the school district, they're only required to disclose this information. They may participate in the discussion and the vote. I'm going to open up with a brief set of questions, but let me start with just a statement. This program, I think, is truly going to be a remarkable program. I give a ton of credit to Mayor Evans, the administration, to Angela and the Office of Financial Empowerment for bringing this to us. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Angela, St. Paul was the kind of city that was a bit of a model and an inspiration for this program. And I fully believe in it. And I was honored to serve on the advisory committee for this group initially. And there was a question when the Evans administration decided to do this. There was a question: should we start this program at birth, or should we start this program at kindergarten? And I think there were, or maybe somewhere in the middle, but those were kind of the two big questions. And for a lot of reasons, I think a lot of people wanted birth, and I think for a lot of very good, solid fiscal and also reporting reasons, the decision was kindergarten. And I fully support that, and I'm sure there's other people on the committee who wish it was birth, but I support kindergarten. My issue has been and will continue to be, and I've said this to the administration, but mostly saying this for my council colleagues, I really believe this program, that I don't really want to see this program even start until we have charter school students involved as well. We unfortunately know what the graduation rates have been in the Rochester City School District, and we know that there are many, many parents who choose to send their kids to a charter school simply because they want a different educational outcome for their students. I just went through my kid just finished UPK and is going to start kindergarten in September, and many of his friends, their parents decided for a charter school. I'm sending my kid to RCSD, but I know so many people who chose charters, and I don't think that they should be excluded from this program. So that is my goal. Mayor, I don't believe, I'm not trying to sit here and grandstand. I believe that's your goal too. And I just want to kind of verify that and then ask you a couple of questions.
My goal is to try to get as many kids as possible in all of Rochester, charter, city, wherever they decide to go, eventually enroll in this program as we work to raise outside money, because we can't use city money right now for this, to get this program moving.
Got it. Thank you. So just a couple of specific questions. First, what is the financial barrier, or what would be the additional cost to enroll every charter school student? And if in writing, that's totally fine.
We can give that to you in writing. But our goal is we want to raise upwards to $500,000 to $1 million
Extra
in order to get all students in the city of Rochester enrolled. But just to be clear, all this does, what's before you is not really all of the mechanics of the program. It's a requirement of the Rochester City School District in order for them to participate and provide us with information. Simply is an intermunicipal agreement that they require for sharing PII, personal identifying information. So that's what this is.
Yep.
This does not prevent us from adding kids from charters. It doesn't prevent us from adding city schools or even private school kids. All we're asking for a vote on today is a requirement that the city school district asked as it relates to PII.
Totally understood. I was getting there in a second, but I'll just say the two questions I want in writing. What is the total dollar amount, at least expected or predicted, to enroll every RCSD student? What is the additional expected to enroll every charter student? And also in writing, what are the total, I don't need to know sources, it's none of my business at this point at least, but what are the total dollars in requests pending at the moment? And what is the total dollar amount of privately raised funds already? Those are the questions I wanted in writing. I wanted to ask the very questions the mayor asked. What are we actually doing here, and does it preclude us from including charters in short order? And the answer is that we're just agreeing on information exchange, and it does not preclude us. So I appreciate you giving those answers, and I will offer the floor to Councilmember Monroe.
This is just a suggestion, and because I don't think that this information gets out enough from the school district, and if we're going to be having any kind of, mailings or things like that with the parents for the child savings account, I don't think people are really aware that they do have free tuition at New York State schools, and certainly people don't realize that, up to a fairly high income threshold, that if your child gets into RIT, again, that would be free tuition, and the U of R free tuition. Those are really important things to have out there. So when parents are looking at a savings account and thinking future, it could be great to have that idea in their head for their little one that, they really can go to college.
Exactly. The other point I want to make is that, and this is an appeal to council or anybody else in the community, all of the funds that we're doing here that we have to raise, we're raising all of this money privately. So
because we have to.
Because unless we can get a carve out from the state, which I'm working on, which I'm not going to go into detail now because I don't want to start answering questions about that because we're far away from that. So I don't even want to touch that yet. But unless we can get a carve out, which isn't out of the question, but that's a conversation for another. So we're working on that, but that's not on the record yet. We will have to raise this through private funds. So any dream that we have of what we want to do here, even the amount that we're starting with, are money that Angela Rollins and myself have gone out and continue to make phone calls to private donors to get resources for this account. So it's not like the city is appropriating a dime for students who are going to be receiving these benefits. So this is an extra effort that the city is leading from a convening perspective, from a influence perspective, to say to good donors in the community, can you support this program for kids that are in the city? And I think that is a very, very important point. So anyone that wants to be a part of that, if anybody wants to donate personally, we would encourage you to do so. We're close on picking the bank partner to be able to do that, but we believe that will be a great enhancement and fit in with the work that we are doing around the Office of Financial Empowerment. So we have a great opportunity here. I would also urge you to look at Aurora. Is it Aurora, Colorado, or Aurora, Illinois? Aurora, Illinois, they're starting out kind of the way we are. they're still raising money as they're doing it, so they can add, and that's what we're doing. And then the gold standard that we want to really get to is St. Paul. They've been a great model there. So this gives us a great opportunity to start. I think we're starting strong, but the goal is to get. My goal is to get every city kid in the city of Rochester enrolled in this program if we are able, and I believe that we will be able to.
Thanks. Any further questions on this item? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instructor number 288. Let me find the right piece of paper. Instructor number 288, authorizing an agreement for community-based doula training. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Councilmember Martin.
Yeah, I just want to extend my full support for this program and the work Healthy Baby Network does. Also, shout out to Councilmember Lupien, who did a lot of the footwork to make this happen.
I need a motion and a second.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Instructor number 289, a resolution relating to standard workday and retirement reporting for Councilmember Patterson. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Councilmember Patterson, do you have to abstain?
He's not on the committee.
Oh, you'll have to abstain later. Yes. Motion passes. With no further business, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee stands adjourned.
Okay, it looks like we have everyone in place. Good afternoon, everyone. And at this time, I will call the Public Safety Committee to order, and I'll ask the clerk, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Gruber. Here. Councilmember Lupien. Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go right into the business of the committee, starting with introductory number 284, authorizing an agreement related to the violence prevention through community engagement initiatives. Are there any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been second. Now we vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Introduction motion passes. Introduction number 285 is authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District to provide overtime police services during 2025 summer school. In this, we do have a disclosure of interest from Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupien. Disclose affiliation only, may discuss and vote. Are there any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it. Second.
It's been moved and second. Now we vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien. Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson. Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. With no further business to come before the Public Safety Committee, we stand adjourned. Everyone enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you.
Okay.